I have been living in Spain for almost 2 years now as a language assistant here. I have experience teaching in the south of Spain and also the north of Spain. Today I'm going to tell you the differences of the two and what you can expect if you're thinking about teaching or becoming a language assistant in any of the regions. Culturally, they're very different. I would say the south of Spain is what you think of when you think of Spain. Like what comes to mind, for me at least, is bullfights, flamenco, guitar, warm weather, hot beaches, friendly people, all this. That's typically what you think of when you think of the South. And yes, the South does have that, and it has also so much more once you go deeper into the culture and you really ingrain yourself with the locals. But actually, once you go to the north of Spain, it's a little different. Where I am at is in San Sebastian, and here is known as Basque culture. So they actually speak a completely different language in this region. Here they speak Basque, which is Euskera. It's completely different from Spanish. It sounds completely different. So this is a part of Spain that a lot of people don't know about, is like the north of Spain and like the different culture they have here. It's not like the traditional of what you would think of when you think of Spain. Like I mentioned before, they're speaking a different language. They have different traditions and different holidays here. At sometimes it can feel like you're in a different country up here, but it's just as great. People are friendly. People are warm. Yes, of course, there's some who are more closed and knit to their circle, but that's anywhere you go. Even in Seville, where they say they are super open, I notice some people can be closed off too. It just depends where you are, who you meet, right? In Seville, I was teaching ages 12 to 17. So this was like high schooler. San Sebastian, I teach 9 to 12-year-olds. So this is primary school. My experience teaching in Seville was very different from the north. It was more relaxed there. I would show up to class and I was expected to just be present and talk with the children about like how their day was, how was their weekend, just getting them to speak in English. I didn't necessarily need to lesson plan for any classes. There was only just one class that I think I had only once or twice a week. She wanted me to teach the students grammar. So for that, I would lesson plan a little bit. I would just walk in, see how they're doing. They would be working on whatever they're working on that day, and I would just conversate with them like a friend. The interesting thing about here was I was not put into any English classes. I was only put into other classes like math, history, and PE. The teacher also was a bilingual teacher, so they were supposed to speak English. Those teachers were themselves too still learning the language, like they weren't fluent in English. So that's where I kind of came in and helped in those subjects with the students and the teachers. Now in San Sebastian, where I'm at now, I'm definitely more needed in the classroom. How it's set up here in this primary school is the children work individually in groups. So there's one group working on games. There's another group working on like biographies or recipes. And there's another group that does interviews or works on postcards. You have another group, and this group practices songs. They learn how to sing in English. They're in these different workshops and they're either paired up or they work individually. And my job here is to go around and help them with their vocabulary, grammar, spelling, anything that they need. I'm at their disposal because they do most of the work individually without the teacher telling them what to do. So I'm there to correct any mistakes that they make in English, help them speak English, help them understand English. I'm only in English classes here. I will say I did like that because sometimes I would show up in my high school in Seville and feel like, man, I really wish I was doing more. I would like to feel like I'm helping them a little bit more. In the end, it was great because it was my first year as a language assistant and it kind of eased me in, and I enjoyed the conversations I had with the students there, and it was exciting to just be like their friend versus a teacher. Like they could relax around me and talk about any topic they wanted to. Sometimes it was a little TMI, but you know, that's another story. The schedule is the same. I work Monday to Thursday. The expected hours for a language assistant is 14 hours, and 2 of those hours being prep work. So the other 12, you're only working in the classroom, and then the extra 2, you're working at home prepping for lessons. This is how it was in Seville. I would not really use those 2 hours that I needed for prep work because there was nothing I needed to do really. And this was fine, right? Because I was just in the classrooms talking to the students, going on field trips with them. No lessons planning was required of me. So I only worked 12-hour weeks, Monday through Thursday. In San Sebastian, I work the same times, Monday through Thursday, but I'm expected to be productive during the 2 hours that I have for prep work. So here I don't have any prep work either, but I'm still expected to work those hours. The work that I'm doing is basically just anything the language coordinator or my teachers need help with. In San Sebastian, I work a total of 14 hours here, but I am paid the same as I was in Seville, the €800 monthly stipend. Honestly, it just depends on the school you get. It depends on your language coordinator, what they ask of you. I heard of people having to work more than I did in Seville, and vice versa here. I have friends that do minimum work here like I did last year. So it really just depends on the school you get and your language coordinator, but roughly you'll be working around 12 to 14 hour weeks. Interesting thing too about the hours, when I worked at the high school, the kids got out earlier. So my break time was only about 30 minutes. Here, since it's primary school, the kids have a 2-hour lunch break. So in my schedule, sometimes I'll have 2 hours blocked out and then I'll have to go back to school. It just really stretches out your day, but I think this is just how primary schools do it. They typically have a 2-hour lunch period where they go home and eat with their family, or they stay at the school and eat there. I liked at the high school how you have the little break and then you're out earlier, but it just depends if you're teaching high schoolers or primary students. Okay, so now for my relationship with the teachers. Overall, really good at both schools. In Seville, during that 30-minute break that we would have, all the teachers go to this cafe across the street and we'd all grab a coffee or something. Or if it's a rainy day, we'd stay in the break room and there'd normally be snacks, or someone would bring some little bits and food and people would converse. Now, this was my first year in Spain, and it was the first year I was exposed to like Andalusian Spanish. Part of me did struggle trying to open up to teachers and building the confidence to talk to them, because Andalusian Spanish is a little bit different than the Spanish we learn in America, because we learn like Spanish from Mexico or Latin countries, right? The tone in which they speak, at least in Andalusia, is very fast. And a lot of the times they will cut the ending of the word. For example, like fish. In Spanish is pescado, but they would say pescado or something like that. And then they just cut the ending of the word. So sometimes it would leave you a little confused. And I know some Spaniards here in the north who say, yeah, I can't really understand the Andalusians. Like, it's a whole thing where people have trouble, even people from the same country, having a hard time to understand. Surrounded by teachers for the first time, all speaking like Andalusian Spanish, and all you have is like the little bit of Spanish you learned in school, right? So I was very intimidated at times to use my Spanish. Most of the teachers would slow down, try to talk to me. Some teachers would try to speak to me in English, but I preferred Spanish so I could practice. There was always that like language barrier I felt, because if there's a group of teachers talking and they're just, speaking amongst themselves, it's harder to butt in if you don't really understand the conversation. The more people involved in the conversation made it harder to follow. But overall, they were mostly kind to me and made sure I felt included as best as they could, right? Also, during Christmas, we had like a teacher's dinner where we did gift exchanges. And that was super nice to just be in a relaxed environment. We had a delicious dinner. There was wine. It was great. It was a great experience. One of my favorite events I spent with my teachers in Seville was the feria. So one of the teachers had a caseta, which is like the tents they have there during feria. There's food, there's drinks, and we just had the best time all together. It's one of my favorite memories of that school year. So I definitely would say I ended on a high with that school, and I definitely had a good relationship with the teachers. Year 2, I'm in San Sebastian, and these teachers, so they do speak Spanish. And I would say that their Spanish is a little bit easier to understand. They speak a little slower here, and they finish the whole word, right? So it's a little easier to understand the Spanish here. But remember, I'm in the Basque country. So the main language they speak in the school is Euskera. The teachers amongst themselves, they speak Basque together. This makes it completely hard. There's no way I can jump in conversations here. But most of the teachers are so kind, and when they see I'm in the room, they will switch the conversation to Spanish. So it's never like I feel super left out, but sometimes it's like, they're having like a deep conversation and it's in Basque, and you just like, you don't want to butt in or try to like get into it because like they'll have to switch into Spanish. Sometimes I would just feel a little intimidated by that, of course. And I've learned a few words in Basque, but nothing enough to have a full conversation. Definitely a language barrier there. In the teacher break room, people will bring little snacks, people will have coffee. We all just sit amongst each other and we'll talk. And I've always felt very welcomed and included as well here. Some of my favorite things about this school is one of the teachers has like a gastronomic society, they call it. So basically in San Sebastian, they have these huge like communal kitchens that are very nice that people pay a monthly payment towards to be a part of the society where they can cook in this kitchen and bring friends and all this. And so I've gone to 2 of these dinners and both times they've been delicious and super fun. It's so nice to see teachers that you're normally super professional around just kind of relax and get like have fun. And then after the dinner, we would go to like a bar and go dancing, and that was a good experience too. Also, the teachers had an event where they went to a cideria, which is where they make the cider here. They have huge barrels of sidra, of the cider. You go to each one and you try the cider, right? From the different apples or the different regions of apples. So good. And they cook an amazing meal. You have a delicious steak, delicious tortilla omelet, like amazing food, right? So they had planned to go to one of those too, but unfortunately I couldn't go that weekend because I was traveling. I love that here they really make an effort to include the language assistants. I felt that in Seville and I feel it in San Sebastian. And while there's maybe that language barrier and I personally may be intimidated at times, the people are totally like not intimidating. They're very nice. They're very warm and welcome. And if I don't understand something, they'll make sure I do. Lastly, I want to touch on dress code because I feel like in the US school system, dress code is such a big deal. Like if I wore this to high school or primary or anywhere, they would be like, cover your shoulders. Like that's dress code. You know, I got dress coded a lot when I was little. My fingers didn't pass my shorts or my spaghetti strap was too thin. Like these are just like common things us girls went through in high school and middle school, I think, in the US. So my first day in Seville, I like asked the teacher, I was like, so what's the dress code? You know, like, is there something I should know, like, or follow? And she was like, what? And she was like, no, you're fine. And she's like, how you're dressed today is perfect. And I was like, what? And I was wearing like a spaghetti strap tank top, like jeans and like sandals. And like, that was fine. And then I realized, oh yeah, it really is. Because then I went to the classes, obviously. And like, for example, gym class, like girls in sports bras and like the Nike little shorts or something, totally fine. But like in the US, you would like never see that because we always have to wear those like ugly, baggy gym clothes, right? It's the same up north too. It's colder here, so you don't see like as many tank tops and shorts here as you do in Seville because it's so hot. But there's really no dress code in either of them. You just have to obviously look presentable and show up. Overall, I will say that the students in both the schools I have had have been great. I've noticed the high schoolers were definitely very outspoken, would talk back a lot to the teacher, and it was kind of this dynamic. I think they respected the teacher, but like there was always room for conversation or complaints or whatever they wanted to say. They could say it, I feel like. In the US, at least where I went to school, it was very much of a more formal relationship with your teachers where you wouldn't just kind of say what's on your mind all the time. But then again, I was young and maybe we were doing that and I had no idea, right? In the primary school, it's kind of the same thing. The kids, like, they're younger, so it's just funny. They'll kind of zone out a lot or they'll play around a lot because they're just kids, and I think this would be the same in any school you go to. Of course, you have the one-offs who pick fights, who are disrespectful, who will try to push your buttons. Thankfully, as a language assistant, it's not our job to handle those kids. Of course, we may be around them, but there's always going to be the main teacher in the classroom to help. We're technically not allowed to be in the classroom without them. So if you experience children with behavioral issues, definitely talk to your main teacher about it and how to handle it. But overall, I loved my experience in the South and the North. I would say they're both like completely different. Obviously, they have some similarities, but that is exactly why I chose to be a language assistant like this, to be in the South and the North, because they are just so different in so many amazing ways. but they are also alike in a lot of ways too. I hope this video helped, and if you have any questions about, the language assistant process, how to pick a region, anything like that, reach out to me. I'm here for you, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.